Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hello everyone. I'm Ahmed Alim, an assistant lecturer of pathology in the Faculty of Medicine, Fayoum University. In this presentation, I'm going to give a brief talk about the most important clinical pathological aspect of Peutz-Jegher syndrome. But before talking about the pathology of Peutz-Jegher syndrome, let's talk briefly first about its history. The syndrome was first noted in the first half of the previous century, exactly in 1921, by the Dutch physician Dr. Jan Peutz. However, it took approximately 30 years for the syndrome to be definitely described by the American physician Dr. Harold Jegher. And it took another 5 years for the eponym to be coined from the name of both doctors, Dr. Peutz and Dr. Jegher, and to be used for the first time by the American radiologist Dr. Andre Brower. So this was about the history of Peutz-Jegher syndrome, and now let's talk about its pathogenesis. In more than 90% of cases, the syndrome is caused by a germline mutation in a gene called STK11. The name of the gene is derived from the initials of the enzyme encoded by it, which is serine threonine kinase 11 enzyme. The gene is a tumor suppressor gene involved in the cellular stress response, located on the short arm of chromosome 19. From a genetics point of view, the syndrome has an autosomal dominant pattern of inheritance. However, due to the presence of a wide variety of mutations, there are also variable penetrance and variable phenotypes of the syndrome. Anyhow, regardless of the phenotype of the syndrome, its most important clinical implication is its association with a significantly higher risk of cancer, especially in the gastrointestinal tract and in the pancreas. The risk of these cancers in patients having Peutz-Jegher syndrome may be up to 15 times the risk of these cancers in general population. Now let's talk a little bit more clinically. How is Peutz-Jegher syndrome detected and diagnosed clinically? Actually, in many cases, the first and the most characteristic clue to diagnosing a case of Peutz-Jegher syndrome is mucocutaneous pigmentation. Mucocutaneous pigmentation occurs in the form of multiple small dark brownish macules ranging from 1 to 5 millimeters in diameter, characteristically found at the mucocutaneous junctions, specifically in the circumoral and the perianal regions. Also, these macules may be found in the digits of the patients, in the fingers of the hands and the toes of the feet. Another characteristic finding that is detected endoscopically is the GIT polyps. These polyps may be found anywhere along the GIT, along the gastrointestinal tract, but actually most commonly they are found in the small intestine and in the colorectum. And molecular studies revealed that these polyps are actually hematomatous in nature rather than being truly neoplastic. Pathologically, the GIT polyps detected in Peutz-Jegher syndrome have a really characteristic morphology. At low power, the polyps appear branching with a leaf-like pattern, and at high power, another characteristic feature can be seen in the form of thick muscularis mucosa layer. To formalize the diagnostic process, several schemes have been suggested. The WHO diagnostic criteria are one of the most commonly used schemes. In these criteria, the presence of 3 or more GIT polyps having the characteristic histomorphology of Peutz-Jegher polyps is enough to make the diagnosis of Peutz-Jegher syndrome. Moreover, any number of polyps, even a single one, may be enough to make the diagnosis of a Peutz-Jegher syndrome if this is associated with either mucocutaneous pigmentation or a known family history of Peutz-Jegher syndrome. Mucocutaneous pigmentation may also be enough alone to make the diagnosis if it is associated with a positive family history of Peutz-Jegher syndrome. Finally, at the end of this presentation, a word of thanks is due to Dr. Hani Khattab for giving me the chance to be with you today, and to you, my respected audience, for giving me your attention during the past few minutes. Thank you.